ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ते यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 1, verse number 16. This is Brahma speaking to Priyavrata, the son of Manu, and asking him to accept the post of king, although Priyavrata had no interest in that. So his basic refrain is that we are all under the control of the Lord, we are not independent, and we should accept what he wants us to do. And in this regard he explained how we are not free to choose our body or our birth and death. We are not free to perform our actions, and then ultimately the result, we are also not free in that. So he says that just like a blind man is led by a person with eyes, like that Lord has control over everybody, and we accept as the result of the karma which comes to us. Only thing is that this does not mean that he is specifically interested in making someone suffer or not. That is according to the gunas and karma, the result comes. So now this is the situation for people who are bound in the material world, the conditioned beings. What about those who are liberated? Do they also follow the same control of the Lord, or are they free? What does it mean to be liberated? So he speaks about that. He says, Mukto pitavad बिभ्रियात् स्वदेहम् आरब्धमस्नन्नभिमान शून्ये यथानुभूतं प्रतियात निद्रः किंतु निर्देहाय गुणान् निबुङ्क्ते. Says that even a liberated person, he has to continue living in his body and get the result of his prarabdha karma, although remaining free from any doership or any pride or any ego. And he experiences everything just like a person who has woken up, and when he is awake he may remember the dream. But he does not accept another body after that. There is no difference. So, when a person is born, then there is certain amount of karma which is allocated for that particular life. That is called prarabdha karma. We are performing karma in this life, and whatever we perform, it gets accumulated. And out of that certain amount of karma is used in one lifetime. So there is kriyaman karma, sanchit karma and prarabdha karma. So sanchit is the accumulated karma, which is the big stock. Everybody is carrying that big load of karma behind, carry big bag. They have this raksa. So everybody has this karma sack, and it follows wherever you go. And whatever action you are performing, you are adding to that bag. It's getting accumulated. When a person dies and he is given another birth, then certain amount is taken out from this bag and put into the pocket. So that's what you are walking, and you take out like peanuts, eat and walk. That is the prarabdha karma. Right? You have some fried chickpeas. Right? When you walk, and you can have this chana, you can eat and walk. So you don't get bored. And you get some energy. So prarabdha karma is that which is like your current account. And sanchit karma is the fixed deposit. So when a person becomes liberated, then his bag, he drops it. So whatever he had, it is lost. What he is performing now is not added to that because there is no more bag. Only what he has in his pocket, he keeps on eating it and walking. So that continues. Then when that is over, then he drops dead, and after that no more birth, because now he does not have the bag, so that he can make prarabdha karma from that and give another birth. So that is the last birth. But as long as he has this prarabdha karma, he has to live. So that's what it says, muktopi tavat bibhriyat swadeham, that he has to continue to live in this body as long as there is prarabdha karma. When prarabdha karma is finished, then the body drops and becomes nitya mukta, ever liberated, doesn't take birth. So it says that anya dehaya gunan bhakti, does not take any body. So this is the situation with person who has become liberated by doing sadhana in the particular life. So this is called Jivan Mukta, or liberated while living. And then you have ultimate liberation, That is Atyantik Mukti. So Sri Vishwanath says that Nanu etat sarvam avidushaha karmine eva natu karma granthita uttirnasya atma jnanne ityasankyaha muktopiti. So if someone raises a doubt that whatever you have said, this is applicable only to the ignorant people, to the conditioned beings, but not those who have gone beyond the bondage of karma, who has become free from the knot. There is a knot in the heart which keeps the Atma, ourselves, tied to the body. So if you cut that knot, then just like if you have a balloon, you cut the thread, it goes up in the sky, it doesn't come down again. As long as the thread is there and you are holding it, then the balloon is there. So similarly, there is a knot in the heart which keeps the soul or the Atma bound to the subtle body, and then subtle body bound to the gross body. So that is called Hridaya Granthi. And the cause for that is the avidya, ignorance. As long as that knot is there, one is bound, when that knot is cut, then the Atma still remains in that body. It does not fly away like a balloon. So that is because of the prarabdha karma. It still hangs there. So he had asked this question, that what is the situation of such a liberated person? So for that this verse is being spoken. Yavat prarabdha karma tavat yatha swapne anubhutam pratyat nidro gat nidro abhimana sunya eva anusmarti. So he says that as long as the prarabdha karma is there, one continues to live, but the difference between common person and a liberated person, Jivan Mukta, is that Jivan Mukta does not have any abhiman, or it does not identify with the body anymore, basically. So whatever he does with his body, he does not take pride in that and does not think that he is the doer. He just sees that body is acting and I am sitting there. So he becomes an observer, and that's why he does not get any more reaction to those actions. No matter what he does with this body now, good or bad. He gives an example that just like you have a dream, and in the dream you are completely absorbed in the dream world, whatever may be happening there, whatever you are doing, at that time you don't think that I am dreaming. Then you wake up. So sometimes when you have very intense dream, then even after waking up, you are still in the thoughts of the dream. You don't immediately jump out of the bed and start thinking what you are going to do in the daytime. But you may be lying in the bed or sitting and ruminating what was the dream about. But now when you are thinking of the dream, you are not having the same type of consciousness as when you were dreaming. When you were dreaming, you were part of it and you totally absorbed. Now you think of the dream, but you know that you are not within it. So that dream thing does not affect you anymore. Whatever good or bad happened, now it doesn't influence you. But when you are dreaming, then within the dream you become influenced. You may feel happy, you may feel sad, you may become fearful. So now you are abhiman sunya, without any identification with the dream. You know that I am separate and the dream is over. So Jivan Mukta lives like that. He sees everything happening as if a dream is occurring, and he is completely disassociated with it. Tari bhogavasnaya punarjanma syat tatraha kintunnya deha. So then if someone says, well, he can take birth again because of the desire to enjoy, he says no. Anya deha dehantaram praptum gunan karmani vasanasya na vinte na samvasti. That he does not take another birth because he has no more desires. He does not desire. It's like when you wake up, then you don't desire to enjoy something in the dream. You desire to enjoy in your wakeful world, but not in the dream. So the Jivan Mukta is in the same way. Bhayam pramattasya vanesvapi syad yatah saste sah sat sapatnah jitendriyasya atmaratir budhasya grihashrama kim nu karotyavadyam. Now he comes to the real point. Enough of beating around the bush. Now straight to the point. So Brahma says that a person who is not having control over his senses, he will have fear even if he goes and lives in the forest, because he has 6 enemies with him. So 6 enemies are Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. All this lust, greed, anger, delusion, pride, envy. So these are all there. And they are not outside. Anger is not outside. Anger is inside you. Now it is quite suddenly something happens, it comes back. It's like the snake sleeping. You see the cobra, you touch it a little bit, then it raises its hood and ready to bite you. So these snakes are lying inside your heart. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. When the opportunity comes, then they stand up. So it doesn't matter where you live. Whether you live in your house or you live in the forest, the enemies are within you. So he says, Bhayam pramattasya vanesu api syat. Just like if you have fever, you have some virus in your body and you have a high temperature. Wherever you go, you are carrying the virus. Even if you go inside an AC room, your temperature will not go down because the virus is inside you. So it doesn't matter where you are, you will carry it with you. So similarly, our real enemies are inside us. We think our enemies are outside. Outside they appear because they are inside. When they will not be inside, they will also disappear from outside. So therefore he says that Sahasat Sapatana. So this word Sapatana is also a nice word. Sapatana actually means co-wife. But this
Co-wives?
Yeah. But this word is used in the sense of an enemy. Because you know what co-wives are to each other. If a man has 2 wives, then they hate each other. So that's why they are called Sapatana. The word literally does not mean an enemy. It has come to be known like that in the practical experience of people. So it's just like you can say that a man is with these 6 wives, going around. Can you imagine that he will have peace? Can you imagine a man having 6 wives and living peacefully? Modern wives, not the traditional type. Then there may be little peace. But 6 modern wives, there will not be peace, no matter where he goes and what he has. He's going to live in hell. So Jitendriyasya Atmaratar Buddhasya, and then he gives another, the contrary to that, the contrast. He says on the other side, if the person has control over his mind and his senses, then if he lives in the house, what is the problem? So if there are no enemies inside, then he can live in the forest, he can live in the house, which is the same. And if the enemies are inside, he can live in the forest, he can live in the house, it is same. So the point is not that somebody is in the house or somebody is in the forest. Point is whether somebody is having the enemies or not. So you can make external changes. It is very easy. You can shave your head, put on white dress or saffron dress, put on tilak, horizontal, vertical. You can grow your beard. So all these things you can do. But that will not make you a great saint if the heart is not changed. So the real shaving is of the heart, not of the head. Anyone can shave the head. So this is what Brahma is saying. That my dear son, you think that you are in the forest, and if you go live in the house, there will be problems. So what is the problem for you if you are controlled? In other words, the problem is not in the sense objects. Problem is not in the wife and children or husband. Problem is inside in the mind. When that problem is there, then the wife is a problem, husband is a problem, children are a problem, house is a problem, everything is a problem. Because I have the virus, I have the fever, then wherever I go, everything causes problem to me. I'm not healthy. So I try to make arrangement outside, but that is not going to remove the virus. Feel cold, sometimes you have fever, you feel cold. So you can heat the room, but that is not going to cure the problem. You take some medicine to get rid of the virus. So that's what Brahma now hints. In other words, he's saying that leave this place and go home. Why live in the forest and unnecessarily suffer in the cold, in the heat? Mosquitoes in India, I don't know about the West, but in India there are a lot of mosquitoes. Imagine living in the forest. There are 10 million mosquitoes around. And husband and wife, they were going for a picnic. So they went near a lake and they were looking for a place where to sit down so that they can have nice food or music or whatever. So the husband said, let's go and camp under this tree. And the wife said, yes, this is a nice place because this 10 million mosquitoes cannot be wrong. They also chosen it. It must be a good place. So there are so many problems if we have to live in the forest. So why not live comfortably in the house? Why cause trouble to yourself unnecessarily? Body gives trouble anyway. So Therefore he says, Nanu tadapi Ishwaradhinatve api mame sampratikad vanvasat bhavini grihe sthitir apkaram karashyati eve iti ashankya. So after hearing all this, Brahma's statement of control, and so he says, okay, I agree that Ishwar is the master, he is the controller, but now I am living in the forest, and if I go and live in the house, then I will only have more problem. So Brahma says, why? Why are you thinking of problem? So he said, wife, children. So well, they are their problem, but here is another type of problem. There is nothing to eat here. Animals, cold, rain. You have to protect yourself from that. If you fall sick, there is no doctor. These days everybody is eating some pill at least. So what will you do in the forest? If you get malaria, diarrhea. Suppose you get diarrhea in the forest, what do you do? So better be in the house. So it says, Bhayam sansara sahasapat satpatna sadindriya satru. So he says this material problem will be there because you have 6 enemies, and 6 enemies he comments are the 6 senses. 5 external and 1 internal, the mind. So we have eyes, nose, ears, tongue and skin, and then mind. So these are the troublemakers because they want all the time some pleasure. Jitendriyasya tatrapi atmarater atmaramasya tatrapi buddhasya ungrahe startamya bhavam buddhyamanasya kim avadyam ragadidasya. He says, but one who is jitendriya, one who has control over the mind, the senses, and on top of that he is atmaram. Jitendriyasya atmarater buddhasya. 3. Not only that he is jitendriya, controller of the senses, he is also atmaram, atmarate. He is self-satisfied. And then buddhasya, intelligent, which means that's what Priyavrat is basically. He has control over the senses, he is atmaram. Already it was said atmaram is Bhagavatam. And he is intelligent. So he says what the house can do to you. House is not some living being who will create trouble for you. So one grihastartamya bhava says for such a person there is no difference between forest and house. Buddhyamanasya kim avadyam ragadidasya. Because he understands, so there is no dosha, no defect in him. He can live anywhere. Then he says, Yasat sapatnan vijigishamano grihesu nirvishayate purvam attet durga svita urjitarin shinesu kamam vichared vipashyat. And now he says that it is better to be in the house. First he said there is no difference. Now he says it is better. You see how logically he is coming. One by one step, one step, one step, one step. So he says that one who has 6 enemies and he wants to conquer over these enemies, wants to become a Jitendriya, controller of the senses, then for him it is better to live in the house than in the forest. He said just like if you have enemies, then you can fight better if you are living in a fort instead of being in the open and being attacked by enemies from any side. Your life is in danger. But if you are inside a fort, you are protected and you can attack the enemies. So he says that to live in the house and desiring to control the senses is like living in a fort and fighting with the enemies. Your situation is stronger than just being in the forest and then trying to control. So gradual control, that you cannot repress. If you are in the forest and you have some desire, then maybe you will just end up repressing it. That's what many sages did. And then repression, what it does is that whatever you repress becomes stronger. And more you repress it, more strength it gets, and then one day it comes up. It becomes so powerful that it comes out. There is a fall down or deviation. So this happens to many people. So better to follow the slow process. That's why this karma marga or karma kanda was created. That you lead a regulated life, regulated sense pleasure, with the goal to conquer over the mind, senses. This is the idea behind it. So, and then once you have conquered, then you can wander freely without any fear. And whether you are in the house or in the forest, grihe thako bane thako, sada hari bole dako. Then there is no problem. अजितेन्द्रिय जितेन्द्रिय इंद्रिय जयेच्छुरित्यत्र लोके त्रिविधो जन तत्र आद्योर गृहाश्रमो न दोष इत्युक्तः अन्त्यस्य तु प्रत्युत गुणैव यो विजिगीषमाणं जेतुमिच्छति स पूर्वं गृहेषु स्थित्वा तेषाम् अत्यन्त निरोधम् अकुर्वन् जेतुमियते. So he says that in this world there are three types of people. Number one, who have no control over the senses. Number two, who are master of the senses. Number three, who desire to be master of the senses. So he says that out of these three, for first two class of people, this living in the house or in the family life is not a problem. It will create no problem. If somebody is ajitendriya, has no control over the senses, and is also not desiring to control in the senses, then if he is in the family, what is the problem? Nasayano patati adha. If you are lying down on the bed, you don't fall down. Fall down, you have to stand up and fall. If you are already flat on the ground, what can happen to you? You are safe. So therefore Bhagavatam says, na swayano patati adha. And if you are a jitendriya, if you have control over senses, then also living in the family life, no problem, you are jitendriya. So now the only third category remains one who is desiring to have control, which is good for him. So this is for him, his household is good. So this is the logic. So he says, for all three, Grihastha is good. So he says, for the first two, Grihasramo na dosha, there is no problem. Antyasya tu, so he's even putting it nicely. He says, for first two, to be in the family life is not problematic. And for the last one, to be in the family life, not only that it is not problematic, it's a good quality. It's desirable. means this person must take to that. And that too, no problem. So why is that? Yovijigishamana vijetum ichati se purvam grihesu sthitva tesam atyanta nirodham akurvan jetum niyate. Say that one who is desiring to control or conquer the senses, so first he should live in the house, and because he is not able to control the senses completely, he should practice controlling. And it is easy to practice there than practicing outside. Yato loka urjitan balishtan arim durgashrita eva teti jati tatascha. So he said, just like a person who has got very powerful enemies, then he can conquer over these enemies if he is inside a good, powerful, strong fort, not open. So not being in the house, not being in the family life, being open means you are actually very vulnerable. If you don't have control over senses, you are very vulnerable. You are being attacked from all sides. When you are in the house, in the family, you are attacked only by your family, that's all. So, tatascha kshineshu arishu kamam griheshu anyatra vavicharet. And then when the kama has become weak, which means the enemies now have become weak, he says then he can continue to live as a family man, or he can leave and travel, and there is no difference. So yudhyati iti pathe prahare nityat. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling to South India, and this Brahmana wanted to go with him, so he told him that you stay here only and just talk about Krishna. Yare dekho tare ko Krishna plays. He was telling this to everybody because he knew that if these people start walking with him, then after some time what will happen? They'll start remembering their family because they are not renounced. They are not like Lord Chaitanya. So sometimes you get momentary renunciation. It's like you get like fit of anger. You cannot maintain that mood of anger more than 10-15 minutes. You get very angry. How long can you maintain that? Next time you get angry, keep a watch and then see how long you can actually maintain your anger. You cannot maintain it for very long. Sometimes it comes down. Because it is not the permanent bhav. So similarly, sometimes when people are there in good association, they get some fit of renunciation. Vairagya comes. Because everything inside, something comes out because of the association. Because like things, they come together. Somebody is angry, you see that person, your anger also comes out. Somebody is sad, you also feel sad. Somebody is laughing, you also feel like laughing. So somebody is very renounced, talking about renunciation, spiritual life, you hear, pay attention, you also feel like, just forget about this, when the life lets go. So you do that, but you won't be able to maintain it for very long. Then it will become a problem for the person with whom you are going. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, stay at home. That was his intention. So therefore he is saying this here, that tesam atyanta nirodham akuruvan jetum yate. Since they are not able to control them completely, then they should endeavor to conquer And once they have conquered, then they can do what they want. So in some books, instead of Vicharet, there is different reading, Yudhyet. That's right. So now, this was, he spoke in general, now he comes specific to him. After all this talk, he speaks in general, now he speaks particularly about Priyavrata, for which he has come down. So he says, Tvam tvabjanabhangari saroja kosha durgashrito nirjita shat sapatnaha bhunshveha bhogan purushati dishtan vimukta sangha prakritim bhajasva. So he says, as far as you are concerned, you have taken shelter of the fort of the wall of the lotus of the feet of the lotus navel Lord. So Lord's feet are compared to lotus feet, a lotus flower, and lotus inside of the wall, and it's like inside that there may be a honeybee. So he says you have taken shelter of that, so you have no fear from anything. So to Abjanab Angri Saroj Kosh Agarvasite Nirjita Sat Sapati. You have control over all the senses. So you enjoy all these pleasures which are given by the Supreme Lord while remaining detached, vimukta sangha, and prakritim bhalasya, and worship the Lord. So this is his direct instruction, that you become the king, have all the opulence, but remain detached and remain devoted to the Lord. Tvam tu tesu trishu madhya na kopi tyahat pamati. So Vishnu Chakriti says that Priyavrata is not in any one of these three categories. He is not Ajitendriya, he is not desiring to control. He has control, but he says he is beyond that. Tu bhinnopkrame abjanaveti na tu anya prakritvad griha durgashrita. So he says that you have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore you are not even like other people who may be taking shelter of the fort in the form of house. You are even protected in a very special type of fort. So you have absolutely no fear. Nacha anyavat jitendriyascha yato nirjita iti jita sapat nirjita nirvata. So he says you are also not Jitendriya like other Jitendriyas, those who are master of the senses. You are not like them, but you are special. So he calls them Nirjita Shata Sapatna. That these people, they only control the enemies. But in your case, you are not controlling, you have thrown them away. So he says Nirjita Sat Sapatna. You don't have enemies. One is that you control and the enemies are still there and they are under your control. Other is the enemies don't even exist. So that is special case. Why is that? Because he has, for him the enemies were the six senses, because your senses are totally devoted to the Lord. Sadindriyani Bhagavad Saundaryadeshu Asaktani. Says your eyes, nose, ears, tongue, etc. They are all attached to the Lord. Your mind is thinking of Him. Eyes want to see the beauty of the Lord, ears want to hear the words of the Lord, nose want to smell the fragrance of Lord's body, each tongue you want to eat the food which has been offered to the Lord. So this way your senses have no chance of enjoying anything material. So there are people who control their senses, which means that they don't allow the senses to engage. So eat only what is necessary to eat. In case of devotee, he can eat any amount because he is eating prasad and he has no problem. So this is difference. Param mitrani eva natu satru. It says rather in case of you, the senses are your friend, not enemy. Because that is doing service to the Lord. So that is the meaning that his name is Jitendriya. Ataha purushena swapargunaya eva atishayini dishtam dattam bhogan. So therefore he should enjoy these opulences which are given by the Lord himself, who is your master. Iti karmajanya nameva bhoganam bandhakatvam nati ishwadatam. He says that the problem comes only if the sense objects are product of karma. For you they are not product of karma, they are given by the Lord himself. So if they are given by the Lord, they cannot be the source of deviation or fall down. If anything which is given by the Lord cannot be the cause of one's fall down or deviation. You can only go higher up, become more fixed. Prakritim bhajasva iti paschad rajya bharam swaputre vinyasya vanepi gat pratishta. And says later on, when you have performed this duty, then you give kingdom to your son and you can go to forest. But at present you go back. So this was Brahma's instruction. And now Sri Sukdev he describes how Priyavrata reacted to it. What did he do after hearing this? So Sri Sukha Vacha, Sri Sukdev said, Iti samabhihito mahabhagavato bhagavata stribhuvana guror anusasanam atmano lagutaya avnata siro dharo badhamiti sabahumanam va. So he shows a very nice demeanor, great Vaishnava, being very humble. Says that after hearing all this, that great devotee, Mahabhagavata, he accepted the instruction of Brahma, who is the Guru of the three worlds, considering himself as very insignificant. Laghutaya avnatasi. He bowed his head down and accepted the order on his head. In other words, he told Brahma that whatever you say, I accept it without any question or without any doubt or any feeling of enmity or fault finding, nothing. So Badhamiti, he says, okay. In Sanskrit, Badham. Okay, he says, what you say, I accept. Sabahumanam va. So with great respect, he carried the order. Atmanaha swasya lagutaya tat patratvat. So he considered himself as very junior to Brahma because he is the grandson of Brahma. And Brahma is not an ordinary person, but he is called here as Tribhuvan Guru. The Guru means respectable to everyone. And Priyavrata accepted this order as if coming from the Lord through Brahma. So this is very important, that to see the Lord in everything, even when it is coming through somebody else, but to see that it is Lord behind it. So Brahma is speaking, but he is taking this order as if it is coming from the Lord himself through Brahma. And therefore he bowed down and said that I will do my best to follow your order. So this is the reaction shown by Priyavrata. So then in the upcoming verses it will be shown how he ruled. That we will read in the next class.
So basically the problem is rooted in this desire to enjoy.
Yes. यही संस्पर्श जब होगा दुखी होने के. Krishna says that this enjoyment is the cause of suffering. All suffering comes from enjoyment.
So first Priyavrata did not refuse flatly, and now after hearing Brahma he immediately accepted it. Was he convinced only by his arguments, or was there anything else which convinced him?
Mainly because it is Brahma speaking and he understood that this is the order of the Lord. Not so much by the argument, but he understood that this is Lord's desire. So he accepted. When his father was speaking, he was not thinking like that. He was thinking, he is my father and he is just asking me to do this because he has this responsibility. But Brahma coming down from Brahmaloka is not an ordinary thing. And he understood that this has not happened just because of the family affair. But there is something beyond that. So that's how he took it. So there is no question of them not following it. And this is what Lord wants. Although Brahma has also spoken that only through his argument. But now he accepted it.
You say that this yukta vairagya, this action in this world for the Lord, it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, little by little, step by step, to clarify the idea of there is either the material life or the renouncement. It is you said previously that is the third option. So that means before the fifth canto it was not so. It was not explained already, or
yeah, because you see, the people usually have only these two concepts. Especially in the past when Varnashram was there. Because Bhagavatam is speaking about Paramadharma and Varnashram is speaking about Varnashram Dharma. So in that there was an idea that you go through the Momentary, Vyasta, and you take sannyas. So either you are in the family life or you are sannyas. These are the two things, karma and jnana. So Bhagavatam is speaking about something which is beyond that. It has karma, it has jnana, and ultimately it is devotion to God. So that is the perfection of both karma and jnana. So it is gradually showing, first speaking about vairagya, because vairagya is necessary to understand spirituality. If one is just attached, then one will not understand. So little vairagya is necessary. So therefore first there are stories of vairagya and giving importance to that. And in case of Parikshit Maharaj, he gave up everything. There was no need to do that. And if he would have remained what he was and he wanted to hear, he could have heard it. It was shown that. Because when that vairagya is shown, then you can easily understand that the person is devoted. If vairagya is not shown externally, then he lives in the house, then you don't know whether he is devoted or not devoted. Because he seems to be doing things which other people are also doing. So first this point is made clear that when someone becomes devoted, then this is how that person acts. And then it will be shown that the same type of devotion remains intact even while remaining in the world. So that's how it is being brought gradually. It is developing.
And the culmination is the gopi
Yes.
example.
Otherwise we will think that these gopis are materialistic people. But then when you see how they were devoted to Krishna, then it is even superior to any one of these people. Even highly renounced, even they were not devoted like that. And then you understand.
So, about these 6 snakes that are sitting in the heart. Wherever we go, we are carrying them with us. So what is the shortcut to get rid of them?
Devotion.
Devotion is the only.
There is no other way. Because that's what he said, that you can control them, but better is to use them. Because when you are controlling them, then you are a little bit inattentive, which means that your sattva guna goes down and a little bit rajas comes, and immediately they are happy and they overpower you. So this is what happens to many people who are not devotee. When they practice yoga, practice jnana marg, and they have this peril, this danger, and it has been there all along in the history, and even in the current times you keep on reading stories. The latest is now John Friend. So without devotion, that's what happens. Okay? Hare Krishna.